What do CEOs need to know about sales these days? A lot. Outdated sales strategies and tactics plague most companies today. Listen to what innovative CEOs and experts have to say about how to change all that with Sales Talk for CEOs. Welcome to Sales Talk for CEOs. Oh, we're going to have another rousing conversation today because we're going to be talking about the history of sales. And you know how I often rant about how everything old is new again, just give it another name. My last rant a couple solo episodes ago was on vibe selling. And I'm always ranting about how, humans are humans, right? And they need to buy stuff. And that hasn't changed. And we really have to take a look at what we're doing and not just always try to throw something new at it, try to look for a silver bullet. There is none. We're humans selling to humans, and that is been that way for hundreds of years. So I decided today to bring a fellow Hoosier on the show. Yes, of course, go IU. And he is a sales historian so that I can talk with him and rant with him about everything old that's new again. So welcome to the show, Todd Caponi.
Well, thank you for having me. It's so good to see you. We've been kind of acquaintances for a long time, so it's awesome to finally make this happen.
Definitely time to get you on the show. Well, I see you have your entire history of sales behind you there. Maybe not the entire history, but quite a bit of it.
Well, yeah, this is if anybody who's watching this, you can see, you can hear. I wish you could smell because it smells like the far reaches of your grandma's old basement in a couple of places here. I love it, but it can get a little musty in here. But this is basically a sales history museum that I'm building all around me here. So.
Yeah, and I just love it. But before we dive into that, I want you to just take a minute and tell the audience and all the CEOs out there listening, what do you do? What do you offer to your customers?
Yeah, longtime sales leader, and then like a lunatic, I wrote a book that I
Oh yeah,
thought was.
wait a minute. Longtime sales leader, back to SAP days. I'm like,
Oh
holy
yeah,
cow.
so just a side note, I accidentally referred to it as the late 1900s instead of it being the 1990s, and somebody was like, "How old are you, dude?" But yeah, so 1990s through about 7 years ago. Sales leadership, lots of sales roles, left to write a book that I thought would suck, but here I am 7 years later still talking about it. The transparent sales leader. So today I do lots of keynotes, lots of workshops for customer facing teams on all things transparency and messaging, presenting, negotiating, and leadership.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And I know your keynotes are fantastic. I haven't seen you yet. I wish I will see you soon on the stage, but everybody raves about you. And so I know your keynotes are great. And I've seen a couple clips from those as well. So if you do need a great keynote for your sales kickoff or whatever, definitely call Todd. He will put on a great program for you. So, all right. So I know you have a new book coming out. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but let's get into the history of sales and like, what's so remarkable about it? What sent you down the path of, learning the history of sales?
Well, you kind of teed it up earlier, this idea that what's old is new again. So I always had a few old sales books from like the 1940s. And you think that's old, but we're just getting started here. So
throw some of those titles at me.
well, yeah. So like
1940s.
the 5 great rules of selling is one of them by Percy Whiting. And so COVID hits, nobody needs keynote speakers or training workshops, right? I was sitting here. And so I reread it. And I find that like 90% of it applies to today. It's the same tips, the same ideas, same objections, same challenges. Everything is the same. There's like 10% that's completely cuckoo, by the way, but it keeps referencing older books. And so having nothing to do, I kept tracking those down. I started buying them all on eBay. I found a friend at the Library of Congress to send me digital versions. And I just became so fascinated with when we talk about sales being modern today, it truly became modern in 1890. And all the things that we're dealing with today are exactly the same. And so that's what really fed it is not only were the ideas brilliant, but the writing is so much better. Like, oh, it's so much better than it was today. And hopefully it's influenced a lot of my writing, just learning from some of these brilliant masterminds who were really founding the modern profession.
Yeah, I mean, some of those books are really old, but I think of even like Dale Carnegie, How to
Mhm.
Win Friends and Influence People. What is that, like 60 years old or
No, it's 1936. So I've got an original copy here. And
oh, it's even older.
yeah, so yeah, the Carnegie book was 1936. The funny thing, though, is that he was a master of pulling together existing ideas. So I've got books from like a guy named Orison Swett Marden who wrote Pushing to the Front in the 1890s. It's basically how to win friends and influence people, but 40 years earlier, right? Like that's
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, it's amazing. I wish you all could see it, but like this is it's a
That is
freaking
an old book.
masterpiece.
That is an
Yes.
old book. Just for
Mhm.
those of you who can't see it, that is a very old book.
Yes.
It's so interesting because that's why I keep saying, like, everything old is new again. Like,
Mhm.
there's nothing new under the sun. Like, we maybe just rewrite it a little differently, or, but good ideas last, right? And humans are humans,
Yeah.
and they're going to continue to be human and buy the way that they buy. That's not
Right.
going to change. Now, I say that, but I say, yeah, well, we've got the internet now and we've got AI now. And yes, that definitely influences the buyer. But the way a human makes a decision inside their brain is still the same. They
Mhm.
just have more information now. So we still have to think about those humans. And I love those old books that really talk about that. And when I teach up at the University of Nevada, I make my students, I teach an entrepreneurship class, sales for sales, right? For the entrepreneurs to learn how to do selling. And I make them read How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mhm.
I don't know if I could get them to read that even older book or
Well,
if we
yeah,
could,
I mean, this thing
right?
gets deep. Like this thing, there's 2 volumes and it's like a
Oh my
1,000
gosh.
pages long. But yeah, I mean, it's funny though. I've got a podcast called the Sales History Podcast where
Yes, yes, I love
yeah,
that.
I find a topic and then I just research the crap out of it and then just unload for 14 to 20 minutes. And I just recorded an episode that is making the argument that sales has not changed. Like
Yeah.
we keep talking about like in the last decade, it's changed forever. The buyer, like, no, none of it is different. All of the same things are exactly the same things that we think about. Maybe like there's tweaks. Uh, so one little quick rant on that topic because I know you
Yes,
love
yes.
rants. I've got there's a book here that I'm holding. This is from 1910. It's from Thomas Herbert Russell. It's titled Salesmanship Theory and Practice. I'm going to
Love it.
show you something here that you probably can't see, but there's 4 words here. The 4 words say buyers know more nowadays. All right, I'll let that sink in for a second. Buyers
1910.
1910, buyers know more
Oh
nowadays.
my gosh,
Now,
that's
why would he say
amazing.
that? He was saying that because we had the rise of things like mail order catalogs. This is a 1908 Sears Roebuck catalog.
Oh my gosh.
It has everything. Like it's basically Amazon in printed form. Now, now remember back to when e-commerce became a thing. That the B2B world was all screaming that buyers know more now. They won't need us anymore because buyers could do their own research online. And then e-commerce was going to destroy the profession. Forrester was saying in 2015 that 1 million B2B sales jobs would go away by 2020 because of e-commerce. And what happened? The opposite happens. That's what he
Right.
was arguing. In 1910, Russell was arguing that mail order catalogs and advertising would destroy the sales profession. What would they need us for? In both instances, the profession flourished because we've all got to remember this. And so, for any of the CEOs listening, more information hasn't made it easier on buyers, it has made it
No.
harder, always. And salespeople that do the homework for the buyer. And in the words of Arthur Sheldon in his 1911 book, The Art of Selling, true salesmanship is the science of service. Grasp that
Yes.
thought firmly and never let go. Like that was his quote. That is what has always made the profession thrive is being a service professional and understanding that more information, whether it's AI, e-commerce, catalogs, whatever, it has always been the same story and it's always been the same solution.
And what is killing us is that We think there's some magic bullet. We think that salespeople should do what I think are stupid things, right? When
Mhm,
you move salespeople away from serving and focus them on selling and hitting quotas, right? I'm
mhm,
like, I wish quotas would just blow up forever and go away, right?
mhm.
Then what we end up doing is being in a situation where no one wants to talk to a salesperson.
Right.
Well, you think that's because sales has changed? Yes, it's changed in a bad way.
Mhm.
Let's go back to where humans are talking to humans and serving them, not
Exactly.
selling them, because selling is a very one sided behavior, right? And it's very self centered. And that's what we have a whole bunch, thousands, millions of salespeople out there thinking about themselves, their product, their service, how they're going to hit their quota, right?
Mhm.
It's all me, 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 me. As Carol, my friend Carol Mahoney would say, it's not about you, it's about
Exactly.
them, right?
Yeah.
And so but that's what we've done. We've changed sales in a very bad way
Mhm.
by making salespeople do really bad behaviors because of the tremendous pressure on them. And we forget to let them be humans who are serving other humans and helping them win, right? And
Yeah.
helping their companies grow and thrive. And we are stuck in this awful place. Let's have some SDRs dial some more and see if we can get people on the phone so we can tell them all about our stuff, right? Oh my goodness. So I'm with you when sales has changed because the sellers have changed and they're not doing what buyers need.
Yeah. Do you want to hear the story of what happened? So, if you go back to 1916, there was like the first sales conference, like real true sales conference, took place in Detroit, Michigan. It was called the World Sales Congress. 3,000 attendees. One of the keynote speakers was then sitting president Woodrow Wilson. Like that's how
Oh,
big of a deal. Imagine a sales conference today where the sitting president, while the rest of the world is getting into a war, is coming and keynoting your sales conference. Like that's nuts. But a couple of things. Number one is the theme or the motto of the event. Like what's the theme? Like every kickoff's got a theme. This one was one word: service.
ah,
That was the conference, right? Now, the point being that back then, the modern founding of the sales profession, as Arthur Sheldon said, true salesmanship, the science of service, which is it was always based on service to the point where the sales profession was trusted, respected, it was even admired. It was taught in every college in the 1910s. Like you name a college, I will find the sales curriculum that was being taught in it. It was taught in high schools. There was 12 Boston public high schools that were teaching sales back in the 1910s.
wow.
So we get to World War One, world shuts down. When it comes back up, all of a sudden there's a boom going on in the economy because there's a lot of pent up demand, and all the manufacturing had really accelerated too. So lots of products, lots of demand. So the economy goes up. All of a sudden it drops. And in 1920, there's something called the Forgotten Depression of the early 1920s. So 1920, 1921, 1922. In 1922, the sales world experienced over 80% turnover, meaning
Wow.
organizations were purging their sales organizations. Now, this is a long way of getting to this point where we had all this accelerated manufacturing, but we all of a sudden demand had gone way down. So there's tons of inventory everywhere, and companies are freaking out, going, listen, we got to get rid of this inventory or we're going out of business. Get aggressive, lie if you have to. And all of a sudden, that whole service mindset shifted to what you're talking about, which is sales at all, like just go.
Sell at any cost,
Right. It
drop
doesn't
the
matter.
price, lie
We'll deal.
about it. Who
Exactly. We will deal with
cares?
the
Just get rid of the inventory.
exactly. So get rid of the inventory. So all of a sudden you had high pressure pop up as this primary methodology. Like we go, and all of a sudden that was the beginning of the end. So you had a roller coaster of the 1920s, and then the Great Depression hits in 1929. And the next thing you know, we're going back to that. And all of a sudden, you get to the end of the Depression, you get to World War II. You've had a whole generation since the service mindset. So, like, service is
Mm.
gone. And it also being taught in colleges, gone. Being taught in high schools, gone. In the late 1950s, they were trying to come recruit on campuses for salespeople, and those college graduates were like, "I'd rather be unemployed. Like, I'm not showing up for interviews. Like, we had a great thing and we ruined it, and we've done that so many times." But yeah, it all kind of fell apart in the 1920s.
Oh my gosh, isn't that fascinating? I mean, crazy. And I'm just out there saying, look, people, hire seasoned salespeople who have gravitas, who know how to talk to other humans, who understand a day in the life of the people that they're selling to so they can be of service. Because
Exactly.
if you are 25 or 28, you've never been a VP, a CEO, a COO, a CTO, director level anything. You have no idea how you even get to be one of those, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you're calling and trying to talk to them without having done very little research, if any, right? Hopefully they're doing some research and trying to get them, to talk about their problems, but not really. They're just like, tell me your pain so I can sell you something, right? Or
Exactly.
I can get you on the phone with somebody who can sell you something. And it's just so misguided and it's not working, yet it persists and it drives me nuts. Can you tell?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. You triggered so many, like, oh, I want to share this. So you had mentioned something about how you hate quotas, and
Yeah.
like quotas, wish you they would go away. I would argue that quotas serve a purpose in their original design.
Okay.
Today's design, you're right. In its current state, it needs to go
It's
away.
just pressure and
Like
ridiculousness,
it's
and the quotas aren't even built on anything real. It's like, how did you even come up with that quota?
That is the lesson. So back in even the 1920s, I've got a book here, and this book is from the 1940s. It's called Salesman's Compensation,
Oh my
meaning
god.
like there's entire books written on the topic because back then they did territory specific quotas, first
Yeah.
of all, meaning it's not one size fits all for everybody. Let's just
Right.
whatever everybody did last year, add 20% off you
Right.
go. No wonder we can't get it right. And number two is they did so much more research with so much less data. Like today, gosh, we got access to everything. Back then, what were they doing? They were going into territories, they were pulling like bank data on new businesses and how much money was in the banks and trying to there was so much like John Patterson in the 1980s, or I'm sorry, 1880s, so 1887. He is the founder of quotas. And he did it based on the number of retailers in a territory. So it was territory specific. How many registers should, like cash registers, should be in that market. And the
Yes,
quota
he's
was based
just
on,
for everybody out there who doesn't know, he's the founder of NCR,
yeah,
National Cash Register,
yeah,
NCR, which is now nothing to do with cash registers, but anyway,
yeah.
there he
I
is.
have his picture here. And by the way, I was just in Cincinnati last week visiting his memorial. There's a
I
memorial to
saw
John Patterson.
that. I saw
And
that
yeah,
post. I was like, "Yes."
exactly. So quotas, so much more research with so much less data and territory specific. And then number three is once they determined what the quota was going to be, they would sit down with the rep before assigning it and go, Alice, here's what we believe the addressable market is in your territory for this year. Here's what we think. What do you think? Like, let's talk, let's collaborate on it. So, alignment, specific, research. Why don't we do like no wonder nobody hits quota today? It's insane.
Exactly. It
So,
drives me nuts. I mean, oh
exactly.
my gosh, I could literally rip the hairs out of my head. And, it's so interesting because, I learned sales from my dad and Bob Miller, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for everybody who's listening who either doesn't know or may have forgotten that Miller Heiman is my legacy. And
And the first
Bob,
methodology I learned, by the way. So,
oh my gosh, that's so great. And my dad and Bob Miller must have read all of those books because everything that they synthesized into strategic selling and conceptual selling, all about the customer, all about asking great questions and learning and collaborating and understanding how the brain works to make a decision. I mean, those books were written in the late 70s, early 80s,
mhm,
and they are still so pertinent today because they're all about the customer and
mhm,
how you serve, right? And the thing that, my dad used to say about territories all the time, and I mean, this is now how I do it too, is the same thing. It's like every territory is unique.
mhm.
you ask the salesperson to go out and survey and talk to people and ask them what their growth plans are, and they bring all that information back, and you get whatever data you can get from the internet. Back then, there really wasn't any internet, so we're still relying on people to tell us stuff.
Mhm.
And then you build the quota for that territory based on that, just like what you're saying, right? And like you said, today we have so much information, but I don't know whether this started in the time of where, like, the dot coms, when the venture capital was really, just being thrown everywhere, and they're just like, grow by 20%, grow by, triple digit growth, whatever. It's just not realistic, right? So most of those dot coms went under because you have to survey your market.
Yeah.
You can't force growth. You can have the most aggressive, awful salespeople on earth pushing and pushing and pushing, but people don't want to buy. They're not going to buy.
Mhm.
So it's just so crazy to me that we don't do it that way. You build your funnel, build your pipeline, if you call it a pipeline, based on reality.
Mhm.
What do your customers need? How much growth do you see in those customers, right? Yeah, it may not be the growth that you want or your investors want, but it's reality, right? And of
Exactly.
course, you can put a little stretch goal in there, but oh my goodness. I mean, and what kills me now is, 75% of sales reps don't hit quota, right? Because the quota is stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not
So,
bought in. It's not aligned. Like, I love the fact that they would sit down and get alignment.
yeah.
Like, there's nothing more deflating than be given a target that you
Oh my
can't
gosh.
hit on day one.
Well,
Right.
and you're in a territory that's like brand new, and somebody else is in an established territory, and you have the same quota as them. How is that even
Yeah.
possible?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
All
nuts.
right. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I need to take a chill pill. I feel I feel like I'm just so amped up. But anyway, well, there is just so much there. And I hope that, people will follow you and dig into that, because I think this history can really help inform us. And I think that it's the way of the world, right?
Mhm.
We do need to know our history to move forward. We don't want to stay in our past, right?
Mhm.
And we don't want to be anchored to it to make our new decisions, but we do need to know and understand it to some degree, especially all the sales data that we have,
Mhm.
before we move forward and make, new projections for the new year. All right.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
I
go
will
ahead.
I'll tell you one other thing
Yeah.
along that note. So over my left shoulder here is a fully restored phone, for a telephone from 1908, from the Swedish American company. Original wiring, the bells ring, like it's awesome. Um, I have that in a 1921 phone up here for a specific reason. That when you think about this technology revolution that we're in, I would argue that it's paled in comparison to what came out in the 1870s when Alexander Graham Bell made that first phone call. And it changed communication forever. It really changed the sales profession. And it was such a gift to the sales profession. Instead of having to go door to door in on farms and like all this stuff, now we could make calls. And what did we do? We ruined it, right? We
Right.
used it for evil, not good. We started focusing on scale instead of service, and we destroyed it. You fast forward to the 1970s, we did it again with email. Uh, you've got, email is another incredible gift. Send a note, it goes, right? Like, it's there. How cool. We ruined that. Same reasons. LinkedIn, I think, is one of those
Oh,
incredible gifts where you can
yes.
see everybody's profile, who they're connected, what they follow, like all this information. Ruin that.
Ruined it
It's a long way of getting to, we are already doing it again with AI.
with
AI
AI.
is a
Right.
gift. When used properly,
Let's
it can
put
do
some
such an
bad
incredible gift.
process and throw it into AI and make things worse.
Exactly. We are
Let's
going
let's
to ruin it
oh,
again. We are already ruining it again. Keep that word service front and center. Think
yeah.
like the historians did, and I think we can get this profession back.
We can get it back. We have got to train our sellers to be of service.
Yes,
That's it. This is your
exactly.
job. Figure out if you can serve. And if you can't, be the first one to say, we cannot serve you, but I might know somebody who can, or just walk away, right? But
Exactly. Yeah.
walk away gracefully. So when they, maybe later, when they can use what you have, they're delighted to talk to you, right? But no, our salespeople leave off in such a bad place. And still they're doing these breakup emails. I'm like, I thought we were over that. So
Mhm.
you're just gonna irritate the crap out of these people and then tell them I'm not gonna email you anymore. Oh, thank God, But I
Exactly.
mean, you're killing me. You're
Mhm.
because if you talk to somebody, you know, and they're not interested or not a good fit, oh my gosh, it's been so great to talk with you. I'm glad we got a chance to know each other. Write a thank you note. They spent time with you. Leave it in a place where they'd be happy to talk to you again or happy to refer you to someone who can use what you do.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
no, because it's all about volume, we just scream through them, treat people like crap, blast messages at them. Like you said, we've ruined it because we're not being of service at all. We're just all about me, 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 me. I got to sell. I got to hit my quota. My company's got to do this. I've got to do that. I got to tell them about my product. It's horrible.
Mhm.
Horrible.
Exactly.
Okay. Breathe, Alice. Breathe. Okay. Alrighty. So another topic we're going to move to from the history, but
Mhm.
we're going to talk about the history of this as well.
Mhm.
So your new book is called The Four Levers of Negotiating.
Mhm.
Now, negotiating is a big topic, and there's so many definitions of it,
Mhm.
and people all do it differently and think it's this or that or whatever. But let's talk about negotiating, but let's start with the history because
Mhm.
I'm sure you know it, and then let's move into what you've decided is good for today and share that with everyone.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll go a little briefer on the history here. So, growing up in sales, like I said, my first real sales job was selling overnight shipping for a company called Airborne Express that doesn't exist
I
anymore.
remember. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and it was I did 10 days in Seattle, Washington, which is where they're headquartered, learning Miller Heiman stuff, right? Like it was a 10-day intensive, so it's such a cool foundation. But for me, it was always weird growing up that I felt like I needed a different personality to negotiate than I did to sell. To your point, sales is about helping customers achieve optimal outcomes, building relationships, and being a partner to them. And then we get to the goal line, the customer says yes, and then what do? Well, I was taught to start lying, right? To be like, I'm not going to tell you what a good deal is. You got to figure that out. And instead of me focusing on helping you achieve optimal outcomes, now the shift has gone to me and my outcomes. And lastly, it's wacky to me that, and always was, that we're learning our negotiation techniques from former FBI hostage negotiators. Like, we
Right.
don't get to tase customers and drag them to jail. You're not releasing hostages from a bank heist.
Yeah.
We have
Like,
to,
sorry, like, I'll send you a pizza if you will release a hostage. Like, what?
yeah, exactly. Like, and that's when we think about the history. Remember that, back when I started selling, you would sell, like in software at least, you'd sell a perpetual license. So the deal
Right.
was the peak. The deal's no longer the peak. The
No.
deal is an early milestone on the path to having customers who buy, stay, buy more,
Right. A
advocate,
customer for
share.
life, customer who
Exactly.
advocates, customer who makes introductions, right? It's like our friend Jocko Vanderkoy, right? The bow tie, right?
Mhm.
The closing the deal is very close to the beginning, right? And then there's a
Exactly.
lot that's after that, right?
And AI is already exposing pricing models. I just believe that a couple of things that we can no longer sustain having every customer paying a different amount based on how
Oh my god.
well or poorly the negotiation went. It's a race to the bottom, and it's
And
getting louder.
they find out what each other's paying.
Exactly,
I mean, it's
exactly. It's
crazy.
and then number two is you would never go to a grocery store, for example, and you fill your cart, and then you go to the cashier and you're like, I have a budget issue. I need a 10% discount.
Yeah.
They'd be like, buy
Well, I
10%
do
less,
that.
jackass. Oh, you do? Oh, so like there's a reason we don't negotiate restaurant prices, gas prices,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. It's because it's established, right?
It's
Like
published.
it,
It's
it's a
published.
it's a
You can see
sound
it.
basis
It's
too. Like
transparent.
we believe that the price is based on something. Now, I had accidentally stumbled on this approach 17 years ago, where I got thrown into a massive negotiation and I sucked at lying. I can't do it. And I got in there and they kind of came at me with their procurement team. And I basically just played my cards face up. And I told them that, listen, our pricing and our organization is really driven by four things, right? And that's what four levers negotiating comes from. Number one is how much you buy, so volume. Buy more stuff, good. Commit to less stuff, not as good. Number two is how fast you pay or the timing of cash. Pay us faster, better. Pay us slower, not as good. Number three is the length of commitment or how long you commit to our products, technology, and services. Longer, better, shorter, not as good. And then number four is the timing of the deal or the value of our ability to predict so that we can invest and we can resource. And so I shared that. When they asked for a discount, I just went back to those things and said, these are the four things we're willing to pay you for in the form of a discount. Commit to more, pay us faster, commit longer, help us forecast. And all of a sudden, instead of it being customer vendor, it was a bunch of people pulling levers and pushing levers to try to get everybody to a place. It established a sound basis by which they used to upsell, cross-sell, all renew, all of that. And we discounted less, we built trust, and our forecast got more accurate. I was like, what just happened? And so I've been building it over time. It's the most popular chapter in my book, The Transparency Sale. But it's just a simple approach to the way we present, propose, and then negotiate pricing. Those are your four levers. Every B2B company in the world, those are the four. Share those, use those as the sound basis with flexibility within it. And I'm telling you, it's super easy, and you'll find that your customers get it and they take you with them to their next company, and you're not racing to the bottom anymore.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And this is, my dad was big on this too. He's like, you don't discount. Is your
Mhm.
price too high? Did you price your stuff unfairly? Okay. If you priced your product the way it, based on your company, your revenue, your profit, all the things that make come up with a fair price, the market, what people will pay,
Mhm.
what looking at competitors, you've taken all these things into consideration and you've set your price. Why would you discount it?
Exactly.
It doesn't
Exactly.
make any sense. You would discount it only for a reason like volume,
Mhm.
right?
Or faster payments or
Or
longer
faster
commitments
payment,
or,
right? Or
or
longer
mutual
commitment.
alignment on timing. Exactly. And
But
that's
you're
it.
not, otherwise, why would you do it? And you're right,
Mhm.
just throwing 10% at it or whatever. And even that, I say to salespeople, okay, if they're asking for a discount, why do you go straight to 20%? Why don't you say 2%?
Mhm.
They're like, huh?
Well, I argue that you don't give anything. Like, what do you, when I give you 2%, I'm pulling money out of my pocket and giving it to you
Exactly.
for
But
what?
I'm just saying, if
That,
you're
yeah.
gonna, you're throwing percents at it, why do you go straight to 10 or
Oh,
20%?
yeah.
Why don't
Well,
you start with 2%?
a lot of that's systemic, right? So as I go, if I'm doing a negotiation workshop, I do a prep call, and one of the questions I always ask is, and when I'm talking to the leaders, is, all right, a rep needs a discount to close a deal, right? What's the process? And so often they're like, well, they can discount up to 10%
Yeah,
before they need
they have
approval,
a range where they
right?
can, as long
And
as
I'm
they
like,
stay within that,
yeah,
they're free to get a discount. I'm like, what? No salesperson
exactly.
should ever determine the discount. And I
Yeah.
do exactly those four levers. I say to them, it's either volume,
Mhm,
pay me faster,
mhm.
it's
Commit
life
longer,
of the
right? Yeah.
contract,
Mhm.
right? It's
Yep.
got to be one of those things.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're paying full price. That's it.
Exactly.
There's nothing else.
Right.
That's it. And there
Exactly.
are set discounts for volume.
Mhm.
Here it's this price,
Yeah.
here it's this price, here it's this. So nobody's guessing, and no salespeople are making it up as they go along,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
It's
And then back to history, there's so many articles written in the early 1900s. Like this, the discounting problem has been a problem for 120 years. And a lot of times I run into these organizations where it's the salespeople going, well, the competitor's coming in so cheap and they're ankle biting and all that. We've got a discount. No, you don't.
no.
One of my clients is I worked with Adobe. Adobe's always the highest price solution. They've got how many customers that are paying that high price, right? But part of the issue here is to disarm that in the first conversation. When you're first talking about price, don't be afraid to go, hey, listen, our price it's a premium investment. It's probably going to be between X and Y. It's based on these four things. And if that is not something you're ready for or have an appetite for, let's talk about that now versus later. Because I would argue if you're talking about a six-figure solution to a four-figure buyer or vice versa, one of you is in the wrong conversation. Find that
Yes.
out now. And when you do that right, you disarm that from ever coming up at the end too. And
Yeah.
so just
Yeah.
go back the levers. That's it. You'll find that your customers get it. And like, especially now, but I've been, teaching it as my last role as a CRO. Uh, Everybody did the 4 levers. Company before that, Exact Target, same thing. We all did 4 levers. And we found that we weren't even negotiating much at all anymore. Customers knew and
Right.
they can negotiate their own deals.
Yeah. Yeah, really. And it shouldn't happen at the end. Like you said,
Right.
this is part of the whole closing thing. And people used to call me a lot to they would say, "Can you teach my salespeople some closing
Oh,
techniques?"
uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know any closing techniques,
Mhm.
but what's the problem? Tell me what's happening, right?" And
Exactly.
the problem is they wait until the end
Mhm.
when their job is to guide the buying team. I only work in the world of the complex sales, so there's always a buying team and a selling team, and it's the salesperson's job is to guide both of those teams
Mhm.
through the collaboration of figuring out the fit and how everything's going to happen and working out all those details. So the closing is not an event, it's just a natural occurrence because
Exactly.
everything has been worked out. It's not a sticking point, a stopping point. It's not a place for stuff to be stuck in your funnel. It's just a natural occurrence if you do it really well. And you know what's
Exactly.
interesting, Todd? I know you know Brent Adamson, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Love the guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's a true thought leader in my mind, like you are, because you're bringing new thoughts to the marketplace for us. But he's been researching sales for a really long time,
Mhm.
and from the buyer side, right, which is what I love. Tim Reister at Corporate Visions does that too, and both of them just bring so many great insights that people just seem to ignore for whatever reason. But
Exactly. Yep.
anyway,
Mhm.
he's saying now, right? We have these groups of buyers who have no confidence in themselves to make these decisions. Okay, great. So it's ending in no decision because we don't train salespeople to guide a sale and help these buyers have the confidence. Because, like you were saying earlier, this overload of information isn't helping anybody buy, it's
Exactly. Exactly.
preventing them from buying. And it's like
1910.
analysis paralysis, right? I'm
Exactly.
stuck here. I
Exactly.
can't make a decision.
Yes. Yeah, they don't know what to trust, and it's always been that issue. We're going to continue to pile on more info. There's going to be more information, not less, going into the future, and that problem has persisted since the beginning of time. More information has not made it easier; it's made it
No.
harder. I would argue 2 things. Number one is we as human beings don't buy when we're convinced, and instead we buy when we can predict. Like, we're all trying to make a prediction. And to your point about what Brent is bringing to the market is this idea that the more information's made it harder to predict because there's so much overload going on.
Yeah.
And so that's why my first book is this idea of, it's called The Transparency Sale, but it's this idea that, like, when you're buying something online you've never bought before, we all read reviews today, but more importantly, we all read the negative reviews first. We all go to the 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s first. And a product that has an average review score between a 4.2 and a 4.5, that's actually optimal for purchase conversion. In other words, a product that has negative reviews under it sells at a higher conversion rate than a product that has nothing but perfect 5-star reviews. Now, that's in the B2C e-commerce world,
Right.
but it's also humans selling to humans. It's absolutely the truth in B2B, meaning when we present our solutions as perfect, like we're a 5 and they suck, we are making it harder for buyers to predict. We are making it harder for buyers to buy, not easier. And so I've always advocated for the idea of walking into every sales situation by leading with what you give up to be great at your core, leading with what, if I'm in your shoes, what I might not love, but if you're cool with that, you're going to love this. And when we started doing that, sales cycles sped up, our win rates went up. To your point about working deals and pounding people, our qualification in happened better, but more importantly, our qualification out happened faster. So we would get that most valuable piece of inventory we can convert to revenue back, which is our time. And so
Yeah.
that's like that, I believe, speaks to so much of what worked back then too, is our role is to help customers achieve optimal outcomes, whether it's with us or with somebody else, as quickly as
Exactly.
possible through the lens of helping them predict and not trying to convince them.
Right. Whether it's with us or somebody else, because it's not always going to be us if we're really honest
Exactly.
and really learn about their needs. And that prediction thing is so important because if I can't predict with some certainty that my life will be better in some way,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah,
that my company will win and that my company will be more successful. If I don't feel certain about that, I'm like, why would I change? I'm going to
exactly.
stay exactly where I am. And that
Mhm.
is what is happening in these, especially these big complex sales, but even with smaller deals, I see people just not buying. And I
Exactly.
feel it myself. Like I'll
Mhm.
think, oh, I really need this thing. And I'll do all this research. And I'm like, I can't buy anything because I can't figure out which one is the best one, you
Exactly.
know?
And it goes to the journey too.
Yeah.
The example I always share is, going to get ice cream with the kids. We pull up, it was Culver's. Culver's is like a Midwest staple. They got like butter burgers and frozen custard and all that. And when we got there, the drive-through line was 14 cars long. Now, the frozen custard would still taste just as sweet. We're fully qualified, right? We've got the money. We've got a consensus sale. All of us are interested. But what did we do? We chose the status quo because reality did not meet our expectation as to how hard this was going to be or how long it was going to take to do it. Your buyers are doing the same thing. If we're not setting proper expectations and helping them predict not only the outcome, but the journey to it,
Yeah.
I would argue that our perception of a reward is biased by the journey. We've got to use that as a qualification in or out early too. Because when we don't, we end up losing to the status quo. Customers ghost us all the time. And it's not them, it's you.
Oh, 100%. And here's what people tell me how long their sales cycle are, my clients. And I'm like, oh, really? Who's making that sales cycle long? Oh, well, our
Yep.
customers, I'm like,
No, they
what?
aren't. Exactly.
No,
Mhm.
you are making your sales cycle long. Let me show you where.
Exactly.
Because
You're not helping
this
them predict.
the buyer doesn't want to have it take 6 or
Exactly.
18 months to
Mhm.
buy what they need, for goodness sakes. They want to get what they need and start using it and be successful with it. Why
Exactly.
on earth do you think your sales cycle is so long? Because you don't know how to sell. You
Mhm.
don't know how to guide the buying team. You don't know how to use your senior executives and your selling team properly. And you're just lengthening out your sales cycle. It is absolutely crazy,
It is.
right?
That's. I'm glad you brought that up. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
it. Like you think companies love writing RFPs and reading RFP responses and having a parade of people drone on about how great they are in presentation? Of course
No.
they don't. They're trying to achieve an outcome. Help them predict. It like be the one of my clients. They walked into a situation where there's an RFP shared with them and two of their biggest competitors. Based on the RFP, the way it was written, they looked at it and they were like, we literally have 0% of winning this, 0% chance because it looks like our competitors would be better for this. So they went back to the client and were like, hey, listen, based on what you've written here, you
Yeah.
should go with them. And I would say their second place, we would be third place here. However, looking at the requirements, there's a couple of things you didn't put in here that might be good ideas. Do you want to talk anyway? And they're like, yeah, that would be awesome. Like, tell us. And so they went in and taught them about, hey, there's, you know, these types of homes are doing this. Like, there's an opportunity and something we've done before, but the competitors can do those too. And they were like a partner to them, and they ended up winning that deal. They went from 0% to 100% based on recommending somebody else, sharing ideas, making the customer's outcome better. And it just so happened that trust trumped features, right?
Right.
And
And
that's the way
and it
we got
was
to think about it.
genuine. They weren't just
Exactly.
right. It was genuine. They
Mhm.
really went in there to say, we don't think we're the best choice, but we
Exactly.
want
Like,
to make
let's get
sure you
out.
ask these other questions so you actually do get what you need.
Exactly. That's it. That's what our role is. Again, Arthur
Serve,
Sheldon. True
serve.
salesmanship is the science of service. Grasp
Right.
that thought firmly and never let go.
Serve and solve, right? If you
Exactly.
serve them, you'll learn whether you can solve or not. And if you can solve, they're going to buy. And that's that. Oh
Exactly.
my gosh. I could talk to you about this stuff all day. Unfortunately, we need to wrap up. So
Mhm.
I have 3 questions for you before we go,
Yeah.
and then we'll let everybody know how to find you. The first one is, what is a book that you think every CEO should read?
You already mentioned it. Again, Carnegie, wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People in 1936 as a culmination of so many ideas, but it really is a foundational thinking about what your role is, how to build relationships, how to be a good part. I mean, that I go back to that one. I personally have not read a current book in a long time because everything's been written already. So go back to Carnegie. I mean, that's a fantastic book and a
Yeah.
real foundation layer.
I do love it. I have read it many times.
Mhm.
All right. What's a podcast that you love because it makes you think differently?
Oh man, I don't really have a good answer to this one. I'm a history guy, so I listen to history podcasts. Like my podcast, the Sales History Podcast. If I do a little shameless plug there,
Yeah.
again, it's meant to illuminate the incredible brains from our founders of this great profession, and then apply it to today in many ways. Because there's things history got right that we get wrong, and so a lot of the stuff that I listen to, I only listen to once or twice here and there, and then I come back to lay it out for everybody else. So I don't have a good specific one. There's probably 10 that I listen to regularly, though.
Okay, cool. What does every CEO need to know to win in this market?
Again, that line, there's two of them. Arthur Sheldon, true salesmanship is the science of service, right? That's your role, is to serve. You will find that you build stronger relationships and your customers will remember. But number two is my favorite sales quote of all time. It's from 1921. It's from another Arthur. This time it's Arthur Dunn, his book, Scientific Selling and Advertising. If you read the book, it's pages of words. And then this page only has one sentence on it because it's that important. Here's the quote: if the truth won't sell it, don't sell it.
Mm.
Right. And it's such a powerful thing to, again, sell the truth. And you will always, life just gets a lot easier, but you'll build stronger relationships. And if you're meant to survive and thrive, it happens through the truth and not some magic tricks and techniques and crap that you might learn listening to some sales podcasts. Go back to the truth and combine that with service. You're going to be golden.
Yeah, absolutely. There are no silver bullets. There is no magic. The magic is being a human, helping a human
Exactly.
serve.
That's it.
That's the magic. So, gosh, thank you so much. Tell us where everybody can find you.
Yeah, I mean, toddcaponi.com is a good spot to go. Lots of articles, videos, links, all kinds of free stuff there. And then I do share a bunch of my nonsense on LinkedIn. And then,
Yeah,
as I mentioned, the Sales History Podcast is just, it's a hobby. I don't make any money on it. It's just my outlet for all this nerdery jumping around in my brain. So you
I
can
love
find
it.
anything there too, wherever you listen.
I love it. And we will put the new book in the show notes because when is the new book coming out?
January 27th, Four Levers Negotiating. You can pre order it anywhere that you get your books.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's about time I had you on the show. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled that you were able to be on the show with me today, and go Hoosiers.
There you go. Thank you.
If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.